El alquimista Paulo Coelho, la única obligación de una persona es cumplir su destino. The only obligation of a person is to complete their destiny. This is Spanish and English for the Moorish alchemists, part 77. Marco L. You guys can check out moorsoflight.com and get some empowerment, learn more about your heritage and your birthrights around the world. We're going to continue with Santiago on his journeys alongside the alchemists after a miracle was realized. And now the alchemists in Santiago are being escorted towards Santiago's ultimate destination of the pyramids. So it says here, caminaron el día entero. They walked the entire day. Cuando estaba atardeciendo, llegaron ante un monasterio copto. When it was starting to get late, they got to a Coptic monastery, which, if you look at a Coptic monastery, super, super Islamic, super Moorish, super Muslim. These Coptic monasteries, the architecture is incredible. El alquimista despidió la escolta y bajó de su caballo. The alchemist um, departed from the escort or dismissed the escort and got off his horse. A partir de aquí irás tú solo, dijo el alquimista. From here on out, you have to go by yourself, dijo el alquimista. Faltan solamente 3 horas hasta las pirámides. Pirámides. He's like, there's only about 3 hours until you reach the pyramids. Santiago, el muchacho, the young man says, muchas gracias. Usted me enseñó el lenguaje del mundo. You showed me the language of the world. Yo solo recordé lo que tú ya sabías. The alchemist responds to Santiago's gratitude with, I'm only showing you, I'm only reminding you of what you already knew. I'm only remembering what you already knew. El alquimista llamó a la puerta del monasterio. The alchemist called on or knocked on the door of the monastery. Un monje completamente vestido de negro vino a abrir. A monk completely dressed in black came to open the door. Hablaron algo en lengua copta y el alquimista invitó al muchacho a entrar. So they were speaking a Coptic language, and the alchemist invited in Santiago to enter. Pedí que me preste un poco la cocina. I asked for them to let me use the kitchen. Fueron hasta la cocina del monasterio. El alquimista encendió el fuego y el monje trajo un poco de plomo que el alquimista derritió dentro de un recipiente de hierro. They went to the kitchen of the monastery, and the alchemist started a fire, and the monk was able to bring him some lead that the alchemist melted into an iron bowl. Cuando el plomo se hubo vuelto líquido, when the lead became a liquid, el alquimista sacó de su bolsa aquel extraño huevo de vidrio amarillento. The alchemist took out When the lead became a liquid, the alchemist took out of his bag a strange um, egg glass, a strange yellow glass egg. Raspó un fragmento del tamaño de un cabello. He was able to scrape a fragment that looked like a little bit of a hair. Lo envolvió en cera y lo echó al recipiente de hierro con el plomo. He wrapped it in like a little wax and put it in the iron bowl with the lead. La mezcla adquirió un color rojo como la sangre. The mix turned into a red color like blood. El alquimista sacó entonces el recipiente del fuego y lo dejó que se enfriase. enfriase. The alchemist took out an entire recipe of fire and took out he took out an entire no he took out the bowl from the fire and let the bowl cool down. There you go. Mientras tanto conversaba con el monje sobre la guerra de los clanes. So while the bowl of lead that's being alchemized or turned into gold, the alchemist and the monk at this Coptic monastery are having a conversation about the wars between the tribes in the Maghreb. Debe durar mucho, dijo el monje. He's like, it should take a long time, the monk said. El monje estaba aburrido. The monk was bored. Hacía tiempo que las caravanas se hallaban detenidas en Giza, esperando que acabase la guerra. It says here that it's been a while that the caravans had been stopped in Giza. They've been stopped for some time, and they were just hoping that the war would end. Pero hágase la voluntad de Dios, dijo el monje. But let the will of God be done, or do the will of God, is what the monk says. And he says, exactamente, respondió el alquimista. Exactly, responded the alchemist. Cuando la marmita um, se acabó de enfriar, el monje y el muchacho miraron deslumbrados. So when the pot was cold, or when the pot had finished cooling down, the monk and the young man Santiago looked at each other, like not very enthusiastically. They were not very enthusiastic. They weren't very animated. El plomo se había secado en la forma circular de la marmita, pero ya no era plomo, era oro. The lead had taken the form circular to the pot or the bowl, but it wasn't no more lead. It wasn't lead anymore. It was gold. ¿Aprenderé a hacer esto un día? Preguntó el muchacho. Santiago asked, will I learn how to do this one day? And he says, the alchemist says, esto fue mi historia personal y no la tuya, pero quería mostrarte que es posible. This was my personal history. It wasn't yours, but I wanted to demonstrate it to you to show you that it's possible. Anduvieron de nuevo hasta la puerta del convento. They continued to walk up until the door of the convent, which is another word for Moorish architecture. this Coptic monastery is obviously Moorish architecture. Ahí el alquimista dividió el disco en cuarto partes. So they went to the door of the convent, and there the alchemist divided that particular disc into four parts, the golden disc that he just created. Esta es para usted, dijo, tendiendo una parte hacia el monje. He's like, this is for you, and the alchemist extends a part of it, tending to the monk. Por su generosidad con los peregrinos. He's like, this is for your generosity with those on pilgrimage, or the pilgrims, or the travelers. Estoy recibiendo una paga superior a mi generosidad. Generosidad, respondió el monje. He's like, I'm receiving a payment that is superior to my generosity, said the monk. Jamás repita eso. He's like, don't ever say that again. Don't ever repeat that again. La vida puede escuchar y darle menos la próxima vez. Life can hear you and give you less next time. Después se acercó el muchacho. Then he got close to Santiago. Esta es para ti. This is for you. Para pagarte lo que diste al general. To pay you what you did to the general. El muchacho iba a decir que era mucho más de lo que había dado al general. He's like, the young man is saying that this is way more than he had given to the general. Pero guardó silencio, but he stayed quiet because he had heard the commentary that the alchemist had said to the monk. Pero guardó silencio porque había oído el comentario que el alquimista le había hecho al monje. Esta es para mí, dijo el alquimista. This one is for me, guardándose una parte, saving one piece for himself, porque tengo que volver al desierto y existe una guerra entre los clanes, because there's a war in the desert, and I have to return into the desert. Entonces cogió el cuarto pedazo y dio de nuevo al monje. He gave the fourth piece, right? He took the fourth piece and gave it to the monk. Esta es para el muchacho, en caso de que lo necesite. This is for the young man in case that he needs it. Pero si ya estoy yendo en busca de mi tesoro, dijo el muchacho, ahora estoy cerca de él. He's like, Santiago responds, but I'm already so close and I'm going to find my treasure. And I'm so close. Y tengo la seguridad de que lo encuentras, dijo el alquimista. And I have the surety that you will find it. Entonces, ¿por qué esto? He's like, and so why are you, why this? Like, why are you giving the fourth piece of gold to the monk? Porque tú ya perdiste dos veces con el ladrón y con el general. He's like, you lost two times already with the thieves and with the general. The money that you had won during your journey. Yo soy un viejo árabe supersticioso que creo en los proverbios de mi tierra. Y hay un proverbio que dice, I'm an old Arab that's superstitious and I believe in the proverbs of my lands. And there's a proverb that says, all that happens one time can happen a second time, but all that happens one time may not ever occur again, but all that happens a second time will definitely occur a third. So he says here, todo lo que ocurre una vez puede que no ocurre nunca más, pero todo lo que ocurre dos veces ocurría ciertamente una tercera. Montaron en sus caballos, and then they got on their horses. And that is how the alchemist, literally the character, the alchemist in the book, the alchemist is known and makes himself be known by pretty much just being this um this like kind of like guide, this spiritual guidance, this life guidance, this sort of like escort, this sort of like archangel kind of energy. So the alchemist here, he actually does the alchemy in a Coptic monastery. Like you guys need to understand what that's implying, right? It's a Coptic monastery where even the structure in itself is still giving homage to the old world and the customs that the alchemists are actually practicing right here and now, like turning lead into gold right in front of their very eyes. So you have an alchemist, a monk, and a world traveler that used to be a shepherd, all inside of a Coptic monastery. And you got to understand, like when you read things from a literary standpoint, where are the like what's the essence of what that motif and theme even means? What is that setting implying, right? Because now we have so far mention of Melchizedek, we have mention of the Moors, we have mention of of Joseph, we have mention of Fatima, we have mention of Islam. There's so many areas of the old world that are being highlighted within this story that it really makes you think um, about the degree that the author himself had, Paulo Coelho. Paulo Coelho. How did this person in Brazil, I believe it was like the 1980s and 1990s, how did this person come up with such an amazing codices, like a codex? Like there's so many encoded pieces of knowledge inside this book that it really leaves you with an entirely new perspective and outlook on not just traveling, not just shepherds, not just ecclesiastical records, not just Quranic records, not just Andalusian lifestyle. It leaves you with a whole picture, a whole image, and a whole experience of really missionary work, which is Sufism, right? So, um, this is like extreme tourism. You know, if you were to take tourism to the point of personal growth and personal experience, you would technically be a Sufi, especially when you start considering, these in between stages of traveling the world where you have to actually tend to your body and tend to yourself and tend to your health when you're passing through areas and stuff like that when you're traveling the world. So, like I said, this book is just it's immaculate. It's amazing. And obviously, the alchemist is looking out for Santiago even after Santiago reaches the pyramids because the alchemist knows that there's always a chance that Santiago could be taken advantage of because Santiago is actually a moral man. He's actually a good Morisco moral man, right? He's got good intentions. So a lot of people seem to take advantage of him in that sense But because he does have good intentions and he is a good person, he's able to read into uh, the more magical aspects of the more majestic and more magical aspects of life itself, right? So I hope that you guys enjoyed, or with the more majestic aspects of his travels. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this reading so far. We're almost done. Look at how much is left. Barely anything. So Santiago is almost there. It's looking like another 10, 20 pages, not even before we finish. So the alchemists left an amazing and a strong impression on Santiago, but we have one more chapter where they have one more dialogue before they actually part, and that's going to be Spanish and English for the Moorish Alchemist part 76. So please tap in with me on that. I hope that you guys are enjoying these readings. You can always 2x the videos to move a little bit faster when you're listening in, from now on out or in the future. Um, but yeah, check out moorsoflight.com, MOORSOFLIGHT.com, moorsoflight.com. If I was to say that in Spanish, it would be Morros de Luz, Andaluz, right? Or light. So check us out, moorsoflight.com. I'm your boy Marcoel, teacher by trade, work, and profession. And once again, like I always like to say, la única obligación de una persona es cumplir su destino. The only obligation of a person is to complete their destiny. So, what is your destiny, right?